Come to Sun Pharmacy for all your prescription medication and healthcare supplies. 2 convenient locations, Keon Street next to the Chinese supermarket and in the food court at Port Zante. Sun Pharmacy, we care about your health. Telephone 466-1074 or 466-1077. Sun Pharmacy, your pharmacy. Sun Pharmacy accepts all bank cards and medical insurance plans from Nagico Insurance, Sagico Insurance, and National Caribbean Insurance.
It takes a village
to raise our children
into productive citizens
and progressive communities.
It takes a village
to provide support to our young people
who are going down the wrong path
and need family and community support.
It takes a village
to help our children who have made a mistake,
to take responsibility
and learn from their mistakes.
It takes a village
to actively help in the rehabilitation of our youth,
to assist them in being productive,
to reintegrate back into our communities.
It takes a village
to care about each other,
to lift up our children
and make them into better adults.
It takes a village to give our youths
a chance for change.
Join the movement
and give our children a chance for change.
This message is brought to you by the USAID OECS Juvenile Justice Reform Project 2, funded by the United States Agency for International Development. For more information, log on to oecs.org/JJRP.
All right, 27 minutes moving up to the hour of 9 o'clock. Welcome back as we close down the morning drive. Hope you guys enjoyed the music this morning while you're on your way to work. And maybe you're probably already on the JOB. It's time now to shift gears, if I can use that term, because we're going to be talking about traffic. And in the studio with me, I have Donnelly, Officer Donnelly Liebert Shiverton. Yes, right. Got it right. Yes. And we're going to start our program, providing that she's here. And I'm making this disclaimer because you might think it's a fixture of this show, but other officers might come to the program and will not adopt the same protocol. This is Donnelly thing, so we appreciate it and we welcome it as well. So over to you, Donnelly, as we open up our program with a prayer.
Good morning. Dear God, we come before you this morning with grateful hearts, knowing that we are living in a broken world where disappointment, pain, heartaches, and struggles are part of our daily living. But we are grateful, dear God, to know that there is a God somewhere who looks out for us and who will forever sustain us. We are ever so eternally grateful, dear God, for your intervention in our lives. And so this morning we come before you, seeking your guidance as we go to today's life journey, knowing that you are the God of all. We come before you, dear God, bringing our families before you, the entire Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We bring it before you, dear God, asking us, dear God, for today, for us to find the time during the course of today to say thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. Help us, dear God, as we journey to today, that we might be guided and be protected under your grace and your blood. In Jesus' name, amen.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Amen. So what's on your agenda for this morning?
Well, GQ, good morning to the persons out there in Radio Land. We are always grateful for you joining to our program. And as I would always say, our program would not be the same without you. We are always happy for your intervention in our program, whether it be in a positive way or otherwise. Whatever platform you're viewing us on this morning, good morning. GQ, last week we started speaking on tint, and we did not complete, in my view, all of what we needed to speak to when it comes to the tinting, because we did not get to speak to the area where you can be ticketed and the cost. And so I want to bring that before the general public this morning, because we want to continue to educate persons as they go along their daily journey, knowing that these offences come before them on a daily basis. We want to speak to also about derelict vehicles. I would touch that this morning. And next week, Wednesday, God spare, I would bring in another officer from the District B, the country area, where we can speak more on derelict vehicles, because the same difficulty that we have in District A, which is in the Bastia area, the same happens in the country. And so he would speak to that. And we would touch a little bit on accidents. But before we go to the tint, I want to touch on accidents, just for a little bit.
Okay.
I just want to let the general public know that accidents are a part of daily living. Sometimes accidents happen and it's not something that you planned, but accidents do happen. But sometimes we can avoid accidents because sometimes we are not mindful, sometimes we are gazing, and sometimes we are speeding. And so we want to bring to the general public this morning to continue to be vigilant when you're driving. Keep your eyes on the road and be mindful, because the life you save might be your own. Between last week, Wednesday, and this morning, as I was checking my station diary this morning, there were 17 accidents between last week, Wednesday, and last evening. 17. And that is very high. In 1 week, 17 accidents. And most of them, GQ, they are caused by persons not paying attention.
Wow. Persons
running to somebody's rear. Clipping the side of somebody's vehicle. Somebody trying to speed out of the stoplight, trying to run the amber light and rush into the back of somebody's vehicle. Persons in parking lots. You're coming out of a parking lot and you're reversing, and you're not looking to see where you're at and your distance between vehicles. And so we're asking you this morning to be mindful. We're not saying that that you are doing this thing, it's a willful act, but we're just asking you so that we can keep down the ratio of the accidents, that we can be mindful when driving.
Do you keep a data of the age range as well?
Not really, but not specifically, but we know the age range. We know the age range because there is a form that we have that says adults, and I mean all of us are adults, yes, but we would only keep the age range if it's a serious accident per se, like maybe someone got injured. But accidents are not. We wouldn't say, okay, someone who got into an accident, if I'm dealing with an accident now, an accident happened this morning and I go to the accident, I'm not going to write on the accident report that person is 18 years old. I would put adult, as opposed to saying, right, this person is 18 or 25 or 44. But I can safely say, Mr. GQ, is that between the ages of 18 and 35 is 60% of when the accident.
The reason why I asked, and sorry to interrupt your presentation, is because I'm looking at the fact if it's experienced or inexperienced, I should say, drivers, that we can look and say, okay, you know what, these accidents are being caused by people who are, with not enough experience on the road versus experienced drivers. That's the reason why I was asking.
Yes, I understand, and I'm grateful for that question, GQ. And yes, a lot of the accident that we have is caused by persons who are inexperienced. Some persons that experience an accident happen, but most of the accidents that we have are the inexperienced ones. They just get their license and they want to go and get a rental, and they want to, for want of a better word, they want to show off, not being mindful of anything that can happen. Just they're sitting behind of a car wheel, showing off, putting on their music hard, not paying attention to the road, and these things happen. So we're asking persons to be careful. And those of you who have children who are the age of 18, and you can still have a conversation with your children, to when they're leaving the house, just have a word with them. You're going on the road now, please be careful, keep your eyes on the road, watch and be careful. My daughter is 36-year-old GQ, and every time I always have a conversation, because it can happen to anybody, and you can be in your right and still have an accident. Okay, so we're asking the general public, the driving public, to be safe.
All right, continue. So you had
yes, we would go back and speak to the tint as last week, and I would refer to the Traffic Act, where the tint is concerned. Now, once you get a ticket for a tint, GQ, once you get a ticket for a tint, it is under section 62, I think it's 62, 6, driving with dark tinted windows, and that attracts a $150 fine. And the officer, like I would have said in the program last week, that your officer can give you a ticket and they can still make you take off the tint, because once you continue driving with the tint, you're continuing the offense. And it's not all about just giving a ticket, it's making sure that the offense doesn't continue.
All right. And you also stated that the officer can also use his discretion.
His or her discretion,
right.
Yes. I spoke to that as well. Now, once you don't pay that ticket within the 10 days that is given to you, it attracts a $50 fine. So instead of paying $150, after 10 days, you have to pay $200. And that is outside of the court. Because once we start speaking court now, GQ, the law speaks to you getting a ticket for tint. It says here in section 62, and we go down to subsection 11. A person who acts in contravention of the provisions of this section commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction, to a fine of $5,000 or to imprison for a term of 6 months or both such fine as imprisonment. And I want the general public to understand that getting a ticket, it's easy to get a ticket and pay. Take off your tint, you pay $150 if you get a ticket. Because bearing in mind, once you go to the court, the magistrate, you can go to prison for 6 months, or he can charge you up to $5,000 just for a piece of dark curtain.
Well, technically, how I look at it, that might be the initial start, but the fact that you avoid or neglect to pay your ticket and kind of disrespect the court, put the court in a position to,
yes,
bring down the hammer, so to speak. Yes.
And I could recall an incident that we had, not an incident really, a situation we had at the court, and the gentleman came to the court. He was issued with a ticket for tint, and he said, the magistrate asked him, he pleaded guilty. And the magistrate said to him, so why didn't you pay the ticket? He said, I just didn't feel like paying it. And the magistrate said, okay. And I charge you $1,000 forthwith. And so you're moving from a $150 ticket to a $1,000 because of neglect and ignorance.
And your lack of respect for the court and authority.
Lack of respect. And so I just wanted to bring that piece this morning to let the general public know that these are not things that we are making up. These are things that is here in the law that speaks. This is what we are guided by, the 15.06 Vehicle and Road Traffic Act. And I would have said last week that persons who want to familiarize themselves with the traffic laws to go down to government headquarters and get yourself a book and read, so that when an officer gives you a ticket or when an officer says something to you that concerns the law, the traffic laws, you can read for yourself and understand. Okay.
So derelict
vehicles. Derelict vehicles is something that is plaguing our nation.
Plague? Yes. That's a strong word,
Plaguing. Yes, plaguing. Because persons know to themselves, Mr. GQ, that they're buying another vehicle or they don't want that vehicle anymore. And they leave it parked up in their yard, causing rodents and causing for persons to be able to come into that vehicle and cause or do criminal activities. And so we're asking the general public to get rid of your broken down or derelict vehicles. Now, if a derelict vehicle is in your yard, private property, or they're on private land, the police has no authority. But once they're on the street, we have the authority to place a notice.
Can I see that?
Yes. There are two kinds of notices that we have. They have notice to remove derelict vehicles and notices to remove broken down vehicles.
Yes.
One gives you 7 days and one gives you 48 hours.
Right, the broken down vehicle is 48 hours.
Right, and the derelict
vehicle is
7 days.
Right.
And so once you're given, these are done in, these are duplicated. So we give one to the person who owns the vehicle and the officer keeps one. And after the 48 hours or the 7 days and that vehicle is not removed, then the officer calls in the tow truck and the tow truck move the vehicles to the landfill. Now, in some cases, Mr. GQ, you find that if you have a broken down vehicle, like there is an accident and the vehicle is on the street and you are, you ask the police, just give me some time so I can get my mechanic to come, that is totally different because the law speaks to that. But some persons have their vehicles for years in areas, let's take Market Street for example, and that is the area where we're going to start coming the first week in May. I want the general public to know that. We are starting the derelict vehicle, broken down vehicle drive, and we are starting in May. And the first week of May, we're going to start in the Market Street, Soho, Shadwell site, Dorset. Those areas around there, we're going to start to put the notices on the vehicles. So those of you who have vehicles that are broken down, they may not be derelict. They might be just vehicles that probably just need a battery, but you have it there for a year, 2 years. You need to get that vehicle off the street and put it on either private property or to a garage, as opposed to the government street.
We're going to open the lines in just a bit. 465-2555 and 718-577-2916. Now, before I do so, here's a question for you that just crossed my mind. We all Kittians, we all live here. So even though you are a police, I'm sure that you have seen vehicles that are on the road in certain areas, maybe some of the areas that you plan to go to, that has been there for more than a year. In cases like that, would you still put a notice on those vehicles?
Yes, you still have to put a notice.
Why?
Because the law speaks to a notice. Once someone has a vehicle, but you can't just go and just...
So even though they have broken the law for more than a year?
For more than a year, you still have to go to court because you can still be sued. Because you didn't, even though you've seen the vehicle there for over a year, you still have to give them notice.
I asked that question because there was a situation where a lady was very irritated. She was saying, calling the police all kind of names, saying, I'm full of this, full of that. You mean to tell me the vehicle there for a whole year and you're still coming and you got to wait another 7 days and she was very irritated.
And yes, and you have to, because we still have to protect ourselves, Mr. GQ. Because remember that the law speaks to the 7 days. This is something that comes.
Yeah, I just read it for myself. Yeah,
right. This is something that we have to be guided by some persons, and I can speak to a situation this morning while I was coming here. A lady came to the station to make a report about a broken down vehicle in the camps area, and she came to the station and she's acting all, irritated, and she's acting all hasty, and I'm saying to her, Miss, just calm down and let us know the situation. Apparently, she has a brother who has a broken down vehicle. But that has been there for a while. And she wanted the police to come and move the vehicle this morning. And I said, that can't happen because you must give the gentleman notice. She said, I don't talk to him already. I said, yes, that is fine. Nothing is wrong with that. But we still have to go according to the law because you can say you spoke to him already. But the police have not said anything to the gentleman. So we have to let him know what the law says before we just go and just call a tow truck to move the vehicle. No, we can move it. We can call a tow truck for a broken down vehicle without the 7 days. It all depends on where the vehicle is. Let's say, for example, a vehicle is parked in the middle of the road. Obstructing traffic. Then we can stand by the obstruction in calling the tow truck and getting the vehicle moved without the 7 days or the 48 hours.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are circumstances.
There are circumstances, yes.
Now, here's one for you. Now, another question for me personally. I looked at the notice that you gave me, and I'm seeing there where both parties have to sign.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Once we get one signature, then that's fine. Because if I take let's take a garage for example. There is a gentleman who has a garage I wouldn't call it a garage. Where he lives in the St. Johnson Village area, and he has vehicles on the street. And he's saying to me, officer, I am the mechanic, but I don't own the vehicle. And I've spoken to the gentleman to come and get his vehicle moved for a long time. He's not coming. And he don't want to sign the paper, but that's fine. So he don't want to sign it. I would sign it as the person who is, I am the authorized officer. And once my signature is stuck here, then that is enough for us.
So once that notice is on the vehicle for 7 days.
We have to notify. We have to notify the owner.
So you have 7 days to find
that
owner?
We have 7 days to find the owner. Some of the vehicles is not displaying a number plate.
Right.
And so it's difficult. But if you look on the sticker of the vehicle, there's a decal number. There's a number that is on that vehicle. Once we put that number in our system, then it brings up the owner of the vehicle.
Now let's take our first call for this morning. Good morning. You are live and lively.
Good morning, GQ.
Morning.
Love you.
Love you too.
And Donnelly.
Good morning.
I hope you go down by the Church of God down the First Avenue when you leave from West Bombay. By church. You see how dirty down there be with cars?
Yes. I'm aware of the situation. As a matter of fact, about the middle of the pandemic last year, we went into the area and we had all the vehicles moved, and I was surprised that I went in the area about 3 weeks ago and would have seen that the vehicles were back. And so
They have supposed to have a funeral down there. Sometimes the horse can't go down. People can't park the cars down there because they go to work here, and then they got somebody car then jam up to a whole property next to the church. Look so awful, and then they just throw rubbish and stuff in the whole cars down there. I think you're supposed to clean up down there first, and then go Market Street. Clean up down the small avenue, they don't to us can go down. Sometimes people rubbish can't get out. They have to wait till when Fort Thomas Road and then bring down the rubbish or go up the steps to catch the dump up down the bay. I think we should clean up down there first.
All right, thank you for your call, Dumpling. and just to let the public know, the lines are open. We have 3 issues on the table this morning. The tint issue, derelict issue, and the accident issue. Yes. Good morning. You are live and lively.
Good morning. That's Tony Connolly. People doing mechanic on the road, is that legal?
What did he say?
For whatever reason, so your line wasn't clear. Can you repeat yourself?
I was asking about people doing mechanics on the road instead of unauthorized. Is that legal?
That is not legal. That's an offense. Fixing vehicles in the road. And that
and have bank all over on the road.
And our Vehicle and Road Traffic Act speaks to persons fixing vehicles on the road. That is an offense.
Okay, so sounds good. And I'm glad you are on Market Street. We need clean up too.
All right,
Thank
man.
you so much.
Thank you for your call, man. Good morning. You are live and lively.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
GQ.
Yes, man.
Ms. Donnelly.
Good morning.
Good morning. I would like you all to take a second look at the road, on Saturdays, where you have to, when you're coming from west, when you're approaching the market, you have to turn left, right?
Yes.
That very road there is very dangerous. I suggest you all use the road before that one, the lower one, because when you come up that road, you must come out in the road to see if traffic coming down Fort Thomas. You must. You have to come out in the road. So if somebody is coming down with a lot of speed in Fort Thomas Road, I almost witnessed 3 accidents. But the road before that, you don't have to come out in the road. As soon as you come on the hill, you can actually see if you have vehicles coming down at Fort Thomas Road. It's very dangerous.
Good suggestion,
You need to go down and take a look at it and see what I'm talking about.
Thanks for the suggestion.
The road, I'm suggesting to use the other road and block off that road, the closest to the market. Because when you go on the top of that road, you have to come out in the road.
No, we
traffic coming.
We hear you. We hear you.
You with me?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes. All right,
appreciate it.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Man.
Okay.
Very, very good suggestion. I'm not working in the police department, but that caller is on point, boy. He is on point.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Good morning. You are live.
Good morning, Brother GQ.
Hey, I'm doing good, man.
And Donnelly.
Good morning.
Yes. Listen, I have two concerns. One, in respect to the abandoned vehicles that might be just pushing a bush and leave for rot. Is there anything in respect to the scrap metals? They become scrap. Is there any motion in place to get those metals recycled? Because just abandon them and leave them to rot. They are collectibles for mosquitoes. And mosquitoes breathe in places where a little water will settle. So all these abandoned cars, that is all around the island, hidden or non-hidden, what is the motion, or is there motion put into place? For instance, St. Kitts, they don't recycle, like, melt the metal and use it for something. Up here in the United States, every scrap metal, even the cans from non-perishable stuff, every metal, every plastic, they recycle them. Is there any way something could be done about that? Because the place looks so horrible with these abandoned cars all around the place. If they're abandoned, going back to estate time, the metals like what some of the abandoned tractors and butu, going back to the butus, what are they doing with those metals? Listen, those are valuable, those are commodities. Also, maybe you might not be able to answer this. In respect to the recycle, you see all those like plastic bottles, water bottles, you will find a lot of them all over the place. That's because there's not a recycle plan is in place neither. The companies that supply water, beverages, so to speak, why don't they come up with a situation where people can pick up these cans and have them recycled to a depot or something like that, where they can remelt and put into some shape or form for some kind of container or usage towards something that is valuable. That help clean up the place. That help cut down on all these congested, unwanted occupied space. Those are the two questions I will leave for now. I'll give you time to answer.
All right, man. Thank you for your call. We have just about a minute left. So, Donnelly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these last two calls, and then I'll let you respond to the callers. Okay. Good morning, you live. All right, man. Thank you for your call. Yes, good morning, you live.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, morning.
Early morning. I just want to make a suggestion. The road there by Greenland, by the Cameron Tree, I don't know if the officers would have looked at it sometime in the past or before, or they are looking at it now. I think that road there coming down by the Cameron Tree needs to be a one-way. And the other one that is right next to the hospital, that's the one that people go up. I have seen time and time again, even the ambulance come down there, and they're ready to turn up, and people park, even though they have the yellow line there and they park just where they need to park. That road is so small that there's trouble getting up and getting down. So I think they're trying to see the right now. People actually almost got knocked down there too. The people pull up and they want to cross the road, and because we could trying to get up, get down, and people coming down. I think that road, that particular road there, needs to be a one way. You're either going to go up or you're going to go down, and then they use the other one for you to come. That's how I see it right now, because something is going to happen major there. Even big vehicles that are outside are having trouble getting up there.
Thanks for your suggestion, man. That's a good one, too. All right, last final call for this morning. Good morning, you are live. All right, we lost that one. Now, I'm not going to take any more calls because it's now 1 minute past the hour. So I'll let you respond to those callers, and then we're going to get into a 9 o'clock report.
Yes. I want to thank those persons for calling in, and we always appreciate your call. The caller who spoke about the area, dumpling, about cleaning up the area in down by the Church of God area, we would have seen the area, and not because we're in the Market Street area, that doesn't mean that we can't put notices on areas where we see that really need our urgent assistance.
Right.
Okay, that can happen.
And to be clear, you're putting down notices. Not moving vehicles.
Not moving vehicles. We're putting notices.
Right.
We're giving persons a chance to move the vehicles. They clean up at Market Street. The person said they want to thank us for coming to Market Street. And yes, we looked at the areas and we saw that Market Street really needed our assistance. The gentleman who spoke about the third caller who spoke about using the street that we turn up, must use the street before that for our Saturday block off. That's a very good idea. But bearing in mind, caller, that there was a mirror placed right there on the top of that street, and someone would have maliciously broken that mirror. And so we would take your suggestion into, I would take it back to my superiors, and so we would have a look at it, and because it's a very, very, very good idea, very good suggestion. About the abandoned vehicles and the recycling of those melting those, the caller would speak about melting those
metal
metal. There were some people here sometime in 2019 who were working along with the garbage people over at the Connery landfill, and they were doing just that. They were taking the metals and they were putting them separately and melting them and doing whatever. I don't know what would have happened since. I don't have any information on that, and so I won't be able to speak any further on that. And the caller who spoke about the recycling of bottles, that's an area that I cannot touch. And caller number 5 who spoke about the road by Green, and that also is a very, very good suggestion, and that too I would take to my superior so that we can have a look at.
Indeed, indeed. Thanks everyone who called and shared your opinions and your suggestions, and those of you who took the time to ask your question as well. We'll be back next week. You said you're going to be looking at
derelict vehicles.
Again next week? Yes. Okay. All right, so thank you once again, Donnelly. Have a good day.
Have a good week.
And thanks everyone who were looking at the program and those of you who are listening. Up next, here's our 9 o'clock report for you.
You're simply the best. Better than all the rest.
Are you looking for a place that provides skilled nursing care and rehabilitation services?